Tonight, we journey into the world of the yokai. In the old language of Japan, yokai means something like bewitching apparition, beings that exist between the world you know and the world you don't. Not demons, not gods, not quite ghosts, something older. Something that has no single word in any other language, because no other language grew up alongside these particular forests and mountains and rivers. Scholars estimate there are over 1,000 named yokai in the Japanese tradition, each with its own habits, its own preferred landscape, its own complicated relationship with the humans who share its world. Some are terrifying, some are absurd, some are heartbreaking. Many are all three at once. They were illustrated in books during the Edo period, painted on scrolls, sold as woodblock prints that circulated through cities and villages alike. People studied them with the same mixture of scholarly interest and personal anxiety one might bring to a field guide for very unusual and potentially dangerous wildlife. Let yourself sink deeper into wherever you are resting. Feel the weight of the day lifting, and as your breathing slows, let me take you back, far back, to a Japan that existed before highways and city lights, when every forest had a spirit and every river had a name. Chapter 1. The Nature of Yokai. For thousands of years, the people of Japan understood the world as being alive, in a way we often forget. Every stone, every tree, every old teapot left forgotten in a corner, all of it had the potential to carry something within it. A spirit, a presence, an awareness that accumulated over time, the way warmth accumulates in a room that has held many people across many years. The ancient belief was this: when an object reaches 100 years of age, it awakens. It develops a soul. It becomes a Tsukumogami, a tool spirit, born not from myth, but from age and use, and the hands of the people who owned it. Think about that for a moment. A sandal worn for 100 years, carrying the shape of 100,000 footsteps. A drum beaten through 100 winters. An umbrella that has sheltered 100 different people from 100 different storms. Each of these, given enough time, might open its eyes, might stretch and sigh, and begin to perceive the world with something like awareness. This is the heart of the yokai worldview. The world is not dead matter moving through time. The world is alive, watching, dreaming alongside you. And perhaps that is why the yokai have never quite disappeared from Japanese culture, even as the country modernized. The feeling they represent, that the world is more attentive, more layered with presence than we usually acknowledge, that feeling has not gone away. It surfaces in quiet moments, in the reluctance to discard something that has served you faithfully for years, in the instinct, standing alone in a forest at dusk, that you are not entirely alone. And so the yokai were born, not as monsters to be feared, though some were fearsome, but as neighbors. Uncomfortable, unpredictable, sometimes dangerous, but part of the same world, part of the same long, unfolding story. The Japanese have a word for the hour at dusk, when the door between the visible world and the hidden world swings open, just slightly. That is when the yokai come. And tonight, in this quiet darkness, that door is open just enough for their stories to reach you. Chapter 2. Kappa, the River Children. Picture a river in summer. The water moves lazily between mossy banks, cool and dappled with light. A heron stands perfectly still in the shallows. A frog watches from a stone. And just below the surface, something is watching back. The kappa stands roughly the height of a child, its body scaled and greenish, like a tortoise crossed with a frog. Its beak is sharp. Its hands and feet are webbed, and on the top of its head sits a shallow dish, always filled with water, the source of its great strength. If the water spills, all that strength drains away in an instant. And here is the wonderful thing. The kappa cannot help but bow when someone bows to it. It is helplessly obsessed with manners, So, if you encountered a kappa on a riverbank, you would bow deeply, it would bow in return, the water would spill, and the fearsome river creature would be left weakened and a little apologetic. There are tales of kappa who, once befriended, became devoted companions, bringing fish as gifts, honoring their promises across generations. When a kappa forms a bond, it keeps that bond across lifetimes. It is more faithful, the old stories say, than most people ever manage to be. It is also worth knowing that the kappa loves cucumbers above all other food, so deeply that cucumber sushi rolls are still called kappa maki in Japan today. A tiny culinary memory of the river creature's preferences, surviving centuries of change and finding its way onto every sushi menu in the world. Let the sound of a slow river play at the back of your mind. Cool water, green shadows. You are drifting. Chapter 3. Tengu and Kitsune, Mountain Lords and Fox Spirits. High above the tree line, where the air is thin and cold and mountain peaks pierce the clouds like brushes dipped in white, the Tengu makes its home. Part bird, part human, cloaked in dark feathers and bearing an impossibly long red nose, the Tengu practices swordsmanship in the mountain mist with movements too fast for human eyes. It is said to be the source of Japan's greatest martial arts, taught in secret to chosen students on the high slopes. Among them, the legendary warrior Yoshitsune, who trained with the great Tengu lord Sojobo on Mount Kurama, learning techniques no human had ever conceived. Night after night, while the world slept below, he climbed the mountain paths and was drilled in movements that seemed to bend the laws of physics, a speed and fluidity that would one day make him nearly undefeatable in battle. The Tengu guards its mountains fiercely. Those who come with reverence find an invisible protection settling around them. Those who come with arrogance find the path mysteriously longer than it should be, the weather turning, the mountain itself gently turning them back around. The Tengu knows the difference between reverence and pride. It is always known. And then there is the fox, the Kitsune. A fox becomes a Kitsune as it grows wise. With each century of life, it grows another tail, up to 9. A 9-tailed fox is a being of near-divine awareness, its eyes holding depths that human minds find difficult to look into directly. The Kitsune is sacred to the great kami Inari, deity of rice and prosperity, and white stone foxes flank the entrances of Inari shrines all across Japan, their carved faces wearing an expression that is not quite a smile and not quite a warning. There is a tradition called Kitsune no Yomeri, the fox's wedding. When sun showers fall, rain from a sky that still holds sunlight, people said it was a fox wedding procession passing through, the Kitsune bride and her attendants, visible only in the falling light, crossing between worlds. Even now, a sun shower in Japan is sometimes called a fox's wedding, and the phrase carries a quality of inexplicable, beautiful sadness. Something wonderful happening just at the edge of perception, visible for a moment, and then gone. A Kitsune in Inari's service will protect its chosen family for generations. It asks almost nothing in return, only to be remembered, to be known. Isn't that what everything asks? To matter to someone. Let the image of a pale fox drift through your mind, unhurried, light-footed. It pauses, turns those amber eyes toward you for one quiet moment. Then it steps between the trees and is gone. Chapter 4. Yuki-Onna, the Snow Woman. It is deep winter. Snow has been falling for hours, patient and relentless, and the world has become a place of no edges, only white. You are inside somewhere warm, a small farmhouse, paper screams glowing softly amber from the oil lamp within. The smell of wood smoke. Outside, the snow goes on forever. And through the snow, she walks. The Yuki-Onna's skin is white as the snow itself. Her hair is black as ink, loose over a white kimono, so that at a distance she appears to be nothing but a face and dark hair drifting through the blizzard. She is cold in every sense, cold to the touch, cold in her gaze, cold in the breath that trails from her lips like the visible evidence of winter itself. She can freeze a person where they stand. And yet her stories are almost never simply stories of a monster. They are love stories, tragedies shaped like love stories, or love stories shaped like tragedies. In the most famous telling, a young woodcutter shelters from a blizzard in an abandoned hut. The Yuki-Onna finds him there and is about to take his life when she pauses, struck by his youth, his sleeping face, his helplessness. She spares him, on one condition. He must never speak of what he has seen. Not to anyone. Not ever. Years pass. He marries a woman of quiet, remarkable beauty who appeared in the village one winter without explanation. They have children. They build a life, small and good and full of the ordinary happiness that makes up most of a life's real weight. One winter evening, watching his wife by lamplight, he tells her about the blizzard, about the woman in the snow, about how close he came. His wife sets down her mending. Her face shifts like snow before a wind. She is the Yuki-Onna. She has been with him all along. She could destroy him. But she looks at their sleeping children and makes a different choice. She tells him she is leaving, that he must care for them well. A gust of cold air through the paper screen, snowflakes scattered across the floor, and silence. Let that story settle in you like snow on still water. Heavy, beautiful. You are very nearly asleep. Chapter 5. Gentle Spirits, Tanuki and Zashiki-Warashi. Somewhere in a moonlit forest, a low boom, boom, boom rolls between the cedar trees. That is the Tanuki, the shape-shifting raccoon dog, slapping its round belly with great satisfaction. The Tanuki can become anything: a rock, a monk, a teapot. Its transformations are famous for being almost but not quite convincing. A Tanuki disguised as a fine woman might have a suspiciously fluffy tail at the hem of her kimono. It loves sake and song and playing tricks on pompous officials. It takes nothing too seriously. It finds joy wherever it looks and sleeps at the end of every night with the complete, unbothered contentment of a creature that has nothing to regret. Statues of Tanuki stand outside restaurants and shops across Japan even today, round-faced, hat-tilted, flask of sake in hand, symbols of good fortune and cheerful, unpredictable luck. And then, softer still, there is the Zashiki-Warashi, the spirit of a child, a small girl with red cheeks and straight-cut hair. It lives in the oldest room of the house, the formal zashiki with its tatami mats and the particular smell of old reed and seasoned wood. You will know it is there by small signs, footprints in the ash near the hearth, the sound of running feet in the hallway at night, a half-finished game left on the floor, a pillow moved from exactly where you placed it. Where the Zashiki-Warashi lives, the family prospers. Good fortune settles into the house the way warmth settles into old walls, gradually, deeply, invisibly. But if the house grows cold and loveless, if the old things are carelessly thrown out and the customs forgotten, the spirit child will leave, quietly, without announcement, and with its going, the luck unravels. The Zashiki-Warashi is a spirit of memory and home, of keeping the old places warm, not out of superstition, but out of love, out of the understanding that a house is more than walls and a roof, that it accumulates meaning over time, and that meaning deserves tending. Chapter 6. The Last Light. On certain still summer nights in Japan, you might see a small light drifting through the darkness. Not a firefly, larger, softer. A ball of pale blue or warm golden light floating a few feet above the ground. This is the Hitodama, the soul fire. The Hitodama is said to be the visible form of a human soul in the moments just after death, a light that had once been a person, carrying its warmth through the dark on its way to somewhere else. In the Buddhist understanding that shapes so much of Japanese life, death is not an ending, but a passage. The Hitodama is the soul in its in-between moment, not yet arrived, not quite gone, still glowing with everything it carried from life. There is also a practice in Japan called kuyo, memorial services held for worn-out objects, for brushes whose bristles are spent, for needles broken after a lifetime of sewing, for dolls whose children have grown. The objects are gathered and honored with ceremony, their long service acknowledged, their years given a proper and respectful ending. It is not superstition. It is gratitude, a recognition that the things which serve us faithfully deserve, when their service is done, to be seen. And this is the deepest thing the yokai teach us, that nothing ends entirely, that the boundaries between the living and the dead, between the familiar and the unknown, are more permeable than we think, that the world is layered in ways we can barely perceive, and that sometimes, in a state of quiet openness, not unlike the one you are in right now, those layers become briefly visible. The old people of Japan built their understanding of beauty on this, on mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of passing things, the knowledge that everything is temporary, that everything is on its way somewhere, and that this passing is not a tragedy but a kind of grace, a reminder of how precious this particular moment is, this breath, this darkness, this quiet. The cherry blossoms are beautiful because they fall. The light is beautiful because it becomes dark. And you are here, in this unrepeatable moment, breathing quietly, held in the simple and extraordinary fact of being alive and at rest. Closing. Drift into the dark. Let everything go now. The Kappa is back in its river, turning slow circles in the green water, the dish on its head catching the reflection of stars. The Tanuki is deep in the roots of the old camphor tree, snoring softly, dreaming of sake and tomorrow's small mischief. The Tengu has folded its great wings on the mountain's highest peak, watching the stars wheel slowly with the patient attention of something that has watched them for centuries. The Yuki-Onna has dissolved back into the snowfall, leaving no footprints, only the smell of cold air and winter silence. The Kitsune has gone between the trees. The Zashiki-Warashi is curled quietly in the corner of the old room, one small red-cheeked face tucked against one small hand, completely at rest. And somewhere, over a still lake, a Hitodama drifts, a small warm light getting smaller, smaller, until it is not. And you are here. Your body is heavy and warm. Your mind is loose and slow, full of moonlit forests and river sounds and stories told for 1,000 years before they reached you tonight. Stories passed from one generation to the next, like a lamp carried through the dark, finding their way here at last. There is nothing you need to do. There is nothing to hold on to or solve or prepare for. The yokai are keeping watch. They have been keeping watch over sleeping people for a very, very long time, and they are very good at it. Let your eyes stay closed. Let your breathing slow a little more. Let the darkness feel familiar and soft and full of quiet, ancient, watchful things that mean you no harm. You are safe. You are held. Sleep now. Good night. I